welcome to the city's pretty much State of the Union address. And thank you all for coming through the rain, and thank you for watching online. What I'd like to do is stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance, if you don't mind. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So my name is Kathy Stevens. I'm the new board president. Bruce Delfonso is a tough act to follow, but I'm going to try. So I would like to introduce Lori Stone. She's with the city, and she's a big advocate for the colony and loves us all. And she's brought a great team to make a presentation today. So with that, I'd like to welcome Lori Stone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Thank you for showing up, and I believe we are also streaming as well. So thank God for technology, right? I moved to Murrieta in 1976. I actually moved to Murrieta Hot Springs in 1976 before it was a 55-year-old community. And at that time, Murrieta was such a small town, but vibrant. And today, due to our past leadership, we have quality of life. And our current council is taking that foundation and we're moving it forward based on the latest technology and what is happening with the infrastructure and development and besides public safety for the future. So I want to commend my colleagues. We are very, very united, and we are always engaging with the residents because your voice needs to be heard, and we need to hear what the residents want. So I think today will be a very informative day. Please, if you feel like you have questions that you want to ask at the end, if we have not tackled any of the important issues that you believe we should be addressing, this is your time because you have our undivided attention. So I'm going to go off script a little bit today, which drives staff crazy. What I would like to do, instead of me introducing the city team, I would like for them to introduce themselves, and I want them to say why they love what they do. And so we're going to start at the very end with Scott Agajanian.
Hey everybody, Scott Agajanian, Economic Development Director for the City of Murrieta. I love what I do because once a year, I get to get up in front of you guys and have my parents here in the audience. This is my mom and dad, Jeff and Emma Agajanian. And of course, from my mom, I inherited the ability to speak more than I should. From my dad, I inherited one hairstyle. And so the ability to come here before the community and share with you every year just makes my life happy.
It is always a pleasure to follow Scott. I don't have quite his energy. Bob Milling, Director of Public Works. I love my job because I live in this town. I've been here since 2002. I drive down Kale Oaks and Clinton Keith Road to work every day, and I just look at all the things I can help do and improve. So that's why I'm happy to be here, happy to see the colony folks again.
Good morning, everybody. My name is David Chanarangsu. I am the Development Services Director, so my department handles planning, building and code enforcement, and so kind of why I love what I do. The city planning profession, and the motto is making great communities happen, and so we love working with our residents, our business owners, and getting Murrieta to the best place it can be. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Brian Ambrose, Director of Community Services. So what I love about living here, I actually live here. I've raised 5 children in this area. So they've used our library. They've been in our sports leagues. They get to go and walk down to the market nights twice a month, and they're safe, and I know that they're safe. So that's what I love about working here.
Good morning, everyone. Javier Carcamo, Director of Finance, and have been with the city for about almost 7 years now. And my department handles the day-to-day operations of the city's financial affairs. I love what I do because I love money. But no, seriously, I love serving the community. I've been doing it for a while with other cities, and super honored to be and serve in this capacity for you and the residents. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Bernie Malloy. I'm the fire chief for the city of Murrieta. I've been here for 3.5, almost 4 years now. And it's very obvious why firefighters love their job, because it's the greatest job on earth. But why do fire chiefs love their job? Why I love my job is because as my job as fire chief, I have to design public safety to meet the exact needs of the community that our fire department serves. And there's nowhere I'd rather do that here in the city where I've raised my family as well. It's such a great opportunity to make sure that we're building a fire service that meets all of your needs going into the future.
Hello, Matt Henry. I am the police chief here. November 1st will be 20 years with the city, so we're coming up on that pretty quick. And kind of just like Chief Malloy said, being in public safety for a community like this is, it's a dream job for a police chief because of the community that supports us and the council that supports us and everybody else that is around here supports us. It allows us to do our job effectively and kind of stand out amongst everybody else. So I love being here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Justin Clifton. I'm honored to serve as the city manager, so I get to oversee much of the organization. I love this job in part because I'm also raising kids here. My wife and I have two young kids, ages 10 and 7, a boy and a girl. But I also love public service. You could work for a business and count your progress and your worth by profit. We get to count that same progress and worth by public value. It's an honor to serve the residents of this community and to be able to see the impact of our work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we just give them all another round of applause? We have an amazing team besides council, our staff. There are many cities that may be a little dysfunctional, but I will tell you, we have the best here in Murrieta. And I'm not just saying this because they're sitting here. I truly depend on their leadership, their expertise to give me the guidance to make the best decisions on behalf of the residents. And remember, I'm also a resident of Murrieta. So while I'm your elected official, I am also fighting for quality of life, not only for myself, but for you, but for future generations. This is my 5th State of the City. So I want to thank you again for allowing me to come and engage with all of you. But there are a few very important issues since I've been elected that are my top priority. And the first is I created what's called the Southwest Elected Leaders Collaborative. All 5 cities, Pechanga, the county of Riverside, transportation agencies, we're all at the table monthly, and we're addressing the unfunded mandates that the state of California is imposing on the cities and on the counties. First and foremost, it's the lack of infrastructure, and I'm sure you're feeling it because I feel it. And poor Bob Mailing hears me complain every single day when I walk through City Hall. I am frustrated with the traffic. You're going to hear, hopefully, about a pilot program that I requested. We're trying to do everything that we can to mitigate the traffic. As you know, with the unfunded mandates, Sacramento is taking away that local control from us, and they will be punishing us through fines, heavy fines against the city. And as you all know, we are about local control. Our founding council members, the reason why they wanted local control is because they wanted to own our own police department, didn't want to contract out our own fire department, our own library, and our own senior center. And it takes a lot of money to keep the departments, the agencies afloat so we can provide quality of life. But I want you to know that myself and the collaborative and us just at the city of Murrieta, we've been to Sacramento 4 times since I've been elected, and having a voice in advocating for, again, local control. And you have to understand there are major financial penalties if we are not in compliance. And when you own everything that we own, we have to be fiscally responsible. We don't want to waste our money in fighting the state of California through lawsuits, just like the city of Huntington Beach, only to come out to lose. Our approach is about engaging and having conversations with HCD, and all the other departments in Sacramento, we are not the only city that is struggling up and down the state of California. I want you to know that we are all a voice and we're all fighting to get that local control back. So know, as your council person, I do hear you, and as a resident, I hear myself, and our job and our goal is, again, to fight for quality of life. And staff will talk a little bit more with their presentation. The second issue that's been very, very important to me is homelessness and mental behavior health. And how many of you are aware of Care Solace? Do any of you know what Care Solace is? So 2 people. Care Solace is a program where you can call the 800 number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, whether you have mild, medium, or severe depression or anxiety. If you wake up this morning and you're depressed about the weather, we've gone from 100-degree to weather, now winter has arrived, this is free to you. And in addition to providing resources for mental behavior health, I have to give a grandioso applaud to our community director, Brian Ambrose. I will tell you that we have the most successful homeless ground game in the state of California. And I'm not just saying that because I represent Murrieta. There are cities and counties that are looking at Murrieta to emulate the plan of action that we have. What's really important is that we have a community behavior health assessment team. It's called a CBAT machine. The collaborative program with the Murrieta Police Department, Riverside Health System Behavior Health, pairs and trains officers, licensed clinician to respond to mental health call. That clinician is very important to ride along with our specially trained law enforcement. They are our first responder. They're there to address and assess what is going on with somebody that's having a mental health crisis. That is huge for the city of Murrieta. Other partnerships are Healthcare in Action partners with Murrieta Homeless Street Outreach Team and Emergency Shelter to provide mobile medical behavior health, addiction and housing support services for unhoused individuals. Renewing Hope partners with Homeless Services to deliver field-based mental health services, meeting the person where they are at. In addition, we have a partnership with Project Touch. Project Touch is a nonprofit that we've partnered with. These are private and public partnerships that are very successful. When our team assesses someone and they're willing to get help, they're ready to get off the street, Project Touch will house them for a temporary purpose. And from there, they will be assessed through the county health department and they will be navigated through the system. We have a successful team. How many of you actually see homeless encampments on our streets? No. How many people see homeless people walking our streets? Not very many, because they're doing their job. And I want to thank Brian Ambrose and his team. I told you that I was going to go off script a little bit and might be a little challenging for staff, but who will be talking about some of these issues. But I want to just briefly tell you some of the great things that we are doing. I know many of you have asked, what is going on with the Golden Triangle? And the Golden Triangle is moving forward. I predict by January the Dominagoni family will announce what is going on at the Golden Triangle, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait for you to hear what amenities, entertainment, food, shopping that's going to happen, unlike anything that we've seen here in Murrieta, but really, truly, these amenities will be regional. You will see eateries and again, shopping that nobody else has in our region. It's going to be fantastic. Hopefully we'll have a groundbreaking in January. And then Murrieta Hot Springs, as I told you, I moved to Murrieta Hot Springs in 1976. In the early 1900s, Fritz Gunther is the one that purchased the property at Murrieta Hot Springs. He knew through research that the minerals in the hot springs and the tule root that's in our little lakes that are there, he combined these two ingredients to make a mud bath. How many people here went to Murrieta Hot Springs years ago and experienced the mud baths? It was a wonderful place where you would actually step into the mud bath and soak in the mud bath. And people from all over the world travel to Murrieta Hot Springs because they believe that the combination of the minerals and the tule root cured ailments. So sadly, Murrieta Hot Springs, Mr. Gunther had passed away. His children took over Murrieta Hot Springs, and unfortunately, Murrieta Hot Springs came to nothing. And they sold to the Calvary Church. And over the last 30 years, the most beautiful resort has been closed off to the public until it recently sold about 2 years ago. And with the purchase of the property and the tenant improvements that they have done, they've invested close to $100 million in preserving a lot of the original architecture as well, which is very exciting for me. Murrieta Hot Springs is viable. People from all over the world are traveling back to Murrieta Hot Springs for the special amenities that they are offering for wellness. And if you have not gone to Murrieta Hot Springs, they do offer a resident special, and I encourage you to go and visit Murrieta Hot Springs. In addition, we have upgraded a lot of our parks. You have a brand new dog park that I'm very excited about, adjacent to the colony. And we are moving Murrieta forward. We have taken our time as a city because it's all about quality of life. And as I talked about the traffic congestion, we are going to be expanding our police department, and we're hoping to facilitate a Station 6 fire department in the near future. We're very, very busy in the city of Murrieta. And with that, again, I want to thank you for being here. And we are going to start the program. And I am going to introduce to you first our police chief, Matt Henry.
Kind of come off to the side so I can also see the PowerPoint as I talk about them. There's going to be a lot of information in here. I'm going to try to get through it so it doesn't drag on too long. And at the end, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. All right, so again, Matt Henry. I am the 8th police chief for the police department. I took over in December of last year, so I'm still kind of getting new into my role. It'll be a year coming up here real quick. And like I mentioned earlier, 20 years total with the city. What we're going to kind of cover is our staffing, what we have with the police department, kind of the ins and the outs of our department, the task force that we have, which are kind of specialized teams that help combat crime, our communication center, and we actually aren't going to discuss the statistics today because there's just too much, but afterwards I can kind of go over that with you. The innovation and technology, which I'm definitely going to touch on. We have some really cool stuff coming to our department and to the city. First, our staffing. We currently have 114 police officers that patrol and work within this city. With that, I have 44 dispatchers, 27 professional staff, which will work in our records department, our analysts, and they just kind of keep the department running. We have a volunteer program, which is very robust, especially for a police department, with over 30 volunteers. Probably the largest volunteer program around regionally, minus maybe the Riverside Sheriff's Department, but again, they have over 3,000 deputies. And then something we're also proud of is our Explorer program. That's introducing youth and high school students to law enforcement and to the community. And again, we have over 30 Explorers that are part of that program. I'm not going to go over each and every one of these, but our police department is broken into 2 divisions. Our operations division, think of that as everybody that is wearing a uniform. So anybody that's in a patrol car or on a motorcycle, our officers in the back that are part of our community policing team, we're out front facing the community and interacting on a daily basis. Our support side is more of our general detectives, our specialized units that work undercover, narcotics, vice operations, As you see, it's in the name for support, our records unit, our property and evidence, people that do the hiring and the training. So that falls over onto our support side. Again, I mentioned the task force just because for an agency our size, we're still able to contribute 8 officers to 8 different task forces regionally throughout the county. What a task force is a group of law enforcement that come from federal agencies, ABC, FBI, ATF, DEA, county-wise with the Sheriff's Department and our DA's office, and then several members of municipal police departments. And as you can see, we're on 8 of them. Gang impact team, a PAC team, which goes after parolees and probationers. Narcotics task force is the 3rd one. Auto theft, another gang task force. Child exploitation, now with computers and tech and stuff like that, that's becoming a real issue for us and definitely one of our priorities. One that is actually our newest one is this Postal Service task force. We know a lot of mailboxes are being broken into county, statewide, all over the countrywide, all over the place. We're doing our best to combat it. We know what a problem it causes for people, so we're dedicating one of our officers to be a part of a task force with the post office. And then again, the bottom one is computer and tech crime, just because that's the new thing. We have to keep up with the crooks, and they're going high tech, so we have to go high tech. Communication Center. This is one of the things that I'm probably most proud of that we have in our department. We do something that really no other department does in the county. We have the Murrieta Police Department that we're responsible for. We actually contract with the city of Menifee to provide communication services for them. And then we also do Murrieta Fire and Rescue. Are you going to talk about EMD at all? Okay. We do something called emergency medical dispatch. And this is kind of the newest thing, and I think probably the highest level that a communication center can offer. When somebody calls us 911 emergency for something medically, a medical problem, instead of how we used to do it in the past of, okay, please hold, I'm going to call the fire department, and once an ambulance gets there, then we'll start tending to you. Now our dispatchers are trained to speak with the caller and kind of walk them through step-by-step emergency first aid that can be either CPR, it can be dealing with a stroke, a broken leg. So they're getting that immediate care as soon as they're online and before any sort of first responder arrives. And we have quite a few success stories of saving lives with that through our dispatchers sitting at, who are working at our station. Technology. Automated license plate readers. You might see them throughout the city. They're kind of on a black pole with the camera. Not really hidden, but for a purpose. We have 40 of them throughout our county. As a car drives by, it captures the license plate and retains it for, I believe, 30 days. That allows us to utilize license plate data, so if we have a report of a robbery at a certain location, I can now go, or my officers can go and look at this computer program that captures all these license plates, and I can tell you this car was in this location at this time, and now we can start working backwards to find out who owns that car and who possibly committed the crime. Carbine is our ability to talk to a caller. We can send them a link, they can click on it. Their cell phone that they're calling the police on now turns into a camera for us. They hit the link, and now their camera filters back to our dispatchers and our officers who are responding to a call, so we can see things first, right away. Live 911, again, this is something that allows us to get places quicker. Before Live 911, as somebody would call 911, it takes about 2 minutes to process that call, to get all the information going, get address, location, suspect description, and then get an officer en route. Live 911 now actually drops that 911 call directly into the officer's police car. So as the 911 call comes in, the officer is hearing it real time at the exact same time as a dispatcher. So within 10 to 15 seconds of, hey, we're getting robbed at the 7-Eleven of Cal Oaks, please help. Just with that, my officer now knows to go there, and we're cutting back about a 2-minute delay on getting that call. And then online reporting, we're about to kick off this year. This is just something that we're going to be able to offer the community. Instead of having to wait for an officer to come out to take a lower level crime report, we're going to offer it online so it can be done from any cell phone, computer, tablet. Lastly, the drones. This is a big thing for our city. We're kind of taking it to the next level. Right now, we deploy drones from the back of police cars. We have 5 total. They help us, obviously some pictures here, you can see what they offer. We can get views from overhead, so if suspects are fleeing, if somebody's trying to hide from us, we can look for hot spots for fire. And we can just get intelligence without sending an officer in there first. So the more intelligence we can gain before an officer has to go in, the safer it is for us. E-bikes, hottest topic of the city. Hottest topic of the state, actually. There is a QR code, so if you are able to, and if you can't do it right now, I'll try to get it to where we can send it out, but there's a QR code that'll link you back to our website that goes over a lot of the laws for e-bikes. There's a lot of misperceptions about them. So we're doing everything that we can do as a police department to enforce e-bike and educate people on them. Again, education, we just finished a social media campaign where we tried to offer as much information about e-bikes as we could. We're trying to hit the schools with the school district. We created a program to where for them to be able to bring the e-bike onto campus, they have to go through a class, a safety class put on by the police department that does inspections and goes over the rules and law. And then, like I said, our website has some information on it. Laws, there's bicycles, there's e-bikes, and then there's what we call Surons is kind of the main one, and that's an off-road electric bike. They cause a lot of problems because they can get up to about 50 or 60 miles an hour because it's a motorcycle powered by electricity. We'll go over some of the specific laws. I'm sure we'll have questions about them, but they're just like a bicycle. The normal e-bikes are just like a bicycle as it pertains to the vehicle code. So when we talk about can they be in the street, do they have to wear helmets, everything that you would need for a bicycle, you need for an e-bike. We have, as a city, put forth an ordinance that is restricting in parks and special events. So we are tightening up the enforcement on the e-bikes the best that we can. Again, it is a priority. It's just hard because a lot of the time it's kids, and we don't chase kids on e-bikes. It's too dangerous. So we're trying to use technology and drones and other stuff to help us combat it. So we're in the process of developing those skills now. Special events that the city offers, canine trials. Come out and see our dogs run around and do what they do. Every 15 minutes is a educational program with our high schools. Teaches them about drunk driving and the effects that it can cause. A shop with a cop every Christmas. Our officers unite with some kids from the community that might not have the ability to have a good Christmas. And so we kind of bring Christmas to them in partnership with Walmart and Chick-fil-A and a couple other stores in our city. And then Trunk or Treat, which is coming up on the 24th, I believe, of this month. Big event out at Town Square Park with not just the police department, but pretty much all the city departments. Great event for all the kids, and it's been a success every year. If you haven't joined our social media, please do. We give a lot of information. Over 177 followers as of today. And then we'll do questions at the end.
All right, thank you, Chief Henry. I can't stress how important it was to me when I came to here, to Murrieta, that I was coming into an environment where I had a great partner in our police department. That is not always the case in cities because we're competing, right? We're competing for the resources for our organization. Our city council gives us everything we need to do our job and everything PD needs to do their job. And because of that, we're on very great footing with one another, and we truly have a partnership in this city that serves all of you very well because your police and fire are aligned in our missions. A lot of what Chief Henry talked about impacts the fire department as well. Our EMD, our dispatch center, the drone program, all of these things benefit both police and fire, and it's really great. I like to say in the city of Murrieta, both kids get an Xbox, we just have to share it. So thank you to City Council for that. I want to talk to you a little bit about the fire department and what we did last year and what we're doing for the future. And I know you look at this picture and you're like, that's a great park. Where is that in Murrieta? I've never seen that many pine trees. This is actually taken in Northern California, what I like to call Bigfoot country. We support the state mission as a fire department. So our state of California is, am I better? Close to the mic. I'm being told to get closer to the mic. So in the state of California, and now I have to lower my voice. In the state of California, we support the state mission. All of our fire departments have to work together to meet the demands of the massive wildfires that we have in this state. So we have resources that go all over California every summer as we have these wildfires. We had resources at the Palisades Fire, at the Eaton Fire. This is in far northern California. About 20 times a year, our units are called to help support that state mission. When we do that, we do not decrease the services to the city. We don't close any fire stations, we backfill our apparatus, and the state actually covers that cost. So they are supporting our fire service while we're supporting the greater state mission. So that is the explanation of the cover there. This number, 12,285, that's how many times a resident in Murrieta called 911. That's how many times one of you picked up your phone because you were having the worst day of your life. You were having a critical emergency and you needed our help. That's how many times the fire station door rolled up and we sent a resource, code 3, out to help somebody in the community. And that is a lot. That number has grown. When I got here, we were just over 10,000. And this year, last week, we passed 10,000 calls for service. And it looks like, I think we're on pace to hit about 13,000 calls this year. So this number continues to grow, and that trends along our population. And so we need to think about how we're going to build our fire department to keep trending along that population. But when you look at those numbers, you see the bulk of what the fire department do. 8,180 times is how many times somebody called with a medical emergency. So that is over 70% of the calls that the fire department runs are medical emergencies. We do not have our own ambulances in the city. Wish we could. We're not allowed to based on state regulations because we didn't offer ambulances in 1980. And if you didn't offer ambulances in 1980, that is a competitive process that goes through the county. So I get that question a lot. Why don't we have our own Murrieta Fire ambulances? And I wish we could. The regulations just aren't there to support that for us in the state. But 8,000 times we go to medical aids and we bring with those paramedics. Everyone on our fire department, including me, is a paramedic. We have one person that's not a paramedic that's one of our chief officers, but you have almost 80 personnel that all are trained in advanced life support, and we all did over a year of paramedic school, so we can bring the emergency room to you, and that's a critical first step of starting treatment before you get to the hospital, and that's a service we offer to all of our residents. But fires are important as well, and you see we had about 180 fires last year that we went to. These are the high complexity, low frequency incidents that we have in our city that we train for every single day and that we build our services around. We are not allowed in the fire service to say that probably won't happen. We absolutely have to say, what do we do if it does happen? And we need to build our systems for that. And then we can just look at some of the other things. 81 hazmat calls. We have an agreement with the county that they're actually our hazmat unit. So we're trained a first responder, but we don't have a hazmat unit because we don't have enough call volume that we actually need that. If the city changed and that call volume went up, that would be something we'd have to look at, but it's served through mutual aid at this point. And then 512 technical rescues. Those are calls where the jaws of life come out that we have on most of our apparatus, and we start doing extrications in vehicles. So if we look at this and we break it down by our units, you will see, and I have this map up, maybe I should have reversed the slides, but Station 2 is your closest station. Fire Station 2, 3,566 responses, that's our closest fire station. It's in the center of the city, it has a broad area, and it has the most density in the city. Though as our city changes, our call volume is already starting to change. We're starting to see more of on the west side of the city, our call volume is increasing. So I think we'll at some point reach equilibrium between the west side and the center of the city with these call numbers. And as we look at the station statistics, you can see right there in the middle of the city, Station 2, that's where we are. That is your local fire department. Out of that fire station, sorry, I have one emergency contact on my phone. It's my daughter. So she just called me. That's why it rang. So when you see the fire station, you'll see that right in the middle of the city is Station 2. That's your local fire station. Out of there, we have a truck company and a medic patrol. So we have 2 units. So when you call 911, even if one unit is gone on a call, we have a second unit there because this is the busiest part of the city, so we serve it with more units. And we have the same situation set up down at Station 3 where we have 2 units out. And those are all paramedic units, so you will be getting the closest unit all of the time. If both of those units are gone, then you'll get Station 1 here. So we never don't bring a fire engine to where you are. We always bring that resource. It just sometimes has to be, if all of the closest units are used up on other medical aids or fires, then you will get the next closest resource. And you can kind of look at all of those call numbers. Station 2, definitely the busiest. And you hear it. You hear it every day. When we look at EMS activity, like I mentioned, we had over 8,000 medical aids that we had. 149 of those were cardiac arrests, and that's an important number to us because we train for resuscitation. We have all of the medications to bring advanced life support and to treat cardiac arrest. The number right below it is return of spontaneous circulation. What that means, it's a save. It means that somebody that wasn't with us anymore has been saved by the paramedics that came to scene. That's a tremendous number. 24% of the CPRs we went on, we had a return of circulation. That's somebody that gets another day with their family because of our paramedics that go out and because of the system we've built to get paramedics on scene quickly. So that is a number that we're hugely proud of in this city, is that 24% return of spontaneous circulation. And then there's just some other of our statistics that we have there, including the medications that we give. This slide is coming out of our annual report, which I will have a link to at the end, so you can see specifically everything that we do in the city. Fire suppression. I mean, it's the first word in our name. The fire department, what we train for every day is to stop fires, and this shows exactly how successful we are. If you see property value saved, this isn't something every fire department tracks, but it's something that's very important to us here. We don't want to go there and when there's a house on fire, just make sure that the foundation is there so you can build another house on it. We want to stop the fire. So when you look at how much property we've actually saved, the pre-incident value of the homes and businesses and vegetation next to houses that we had was over $244 million, and we saved $228 million last year. So when you say, what does a fire department cost? It would have cost $228 million more for our city if we didn't have it. So this is the value of building a fire department that can address the needs of these low frequency, high complexity incidents like these structure fires. Part of that growing to the future to meet our needs, I'm sure it will come up here, but as you drive around our city, you see that it's changed a little bit and it's going vertical. We've been a 2, maybe 3-story city, and now we're getting 4, 6, 8-story buildings in the future. We didn't have the apparatus to meet those needs. Our truck company only goes to 75 feet, which is effectively only about 50 feet in elevation that we can actually get out of it. So we have a new tiller coming to our city that's going to be based out of your fire station right here at Station 2. And this apparatus is going to come, we're adding a firefighter because it's a larger, somebody has to drive the back of this vehicle. So we'll have 4 firefighters out of that station that will be on this apparatus. It has over 100-foot effective ladder reach angle. So this is to meet the growing demands and the changing demands of our city. Resources like this are not cheap, and our city council understood that this was an investment that they needed to make in the community. So thank you to city council for understanding that and seeing that what we're doing is trying to prepare for the future. A lot of you have had a problem with home insurance. We know that. That is something that the fire department has taken head on, and we do not have a lot of levers that we can pull that can reduce insurance rates because it's not regulated anywhere in the fire code. One of the things we have been able to do is become a fire risk reduction community. What this is you measure yourself against the highest fire prevention standards in the state, and you go through an application process. And I'm happy to report that Murrieta Fire is the only city in Riverside County that has this recognition. And we're one of only 11 cities in the entire state of California right now that have the recognition of a fire risk reduction community. This is so valuable that it is something that now, as we're 2 years into this, almost every fire department in California has reached out to us to say, how did you do this so we can get this for our community? Because it is having an impact in lowering homeowners' insurance. One of the things I will say is that there are so few cities right now that have this designation that most insurance agencies don't even believe us when we tell them that you're required to do this. But they say, well, that's not real, it can't be, we don't know about it. We're hoping that in this next round, which will be next July, every city gets some sort of recognition like this, so the insurance companies will have a better recognition of what this is and really help reduce all of your insurance rates. So we have a lot. I could talk about the fire department all day. We do have some resources back there that I would love for all of you to scan. Our newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter so you get information monthly. You can sign up for Alert Riverside, and there's some other QR codes, and our staff is happy to talk to you about that in the back. And right here, this QR code is our annual report that I took a lot of this information from, and I'm happy to share that with everybody here, and happy to answer any questions at the end. I will turn it over to our finance director, Javier Carcamo.
Well, good morning. Javier Carcamo, Director of Finance. And you just received two great presentations from both of our chief. As you can see, public safety, they do a tremendous job. They provide essential services to our community. And in order for them to do that, they not only need the necessary number of personnel, but they need a lot of technology, a lot of equipment, a lot of resources. So I'm going to talk to you about how we can pay for some of this stuff. And it does take a lot. So with that being said, I'm going to provide an overview of the city's financial position. I'll talk a little bit about our budget, our current budget, which is for fiscal year 25-26, and also the next fiscal year budget. So with our city's citywide operating budget, we have a revenue of $195.5 million for fiscal year 25-26. On the expenditure side, we have $182.1 million. The difference between the two, most of the revenues that are not earmarked for operations, they're very specifically earmarked for future expenditures, such as capital improvement plan projects. In fiscal year 26-27, both of our budgets and revenue expenditures is slightly increased. Our revenues have almost $200 million, and our expenditures will be about $191 million. Our focus continues to remain on a long-term basis. We maintain a healthy reserves, and we continue to invest in essential services and infrastructure. As you can see, we'll be getting some fire apparatus, which we're utilizing Measure T funds for those purchases. So with this balanced budget, this really reflects our approach to continue our fiscal strength and to ensure that we have the necessary resources to maintain the essential services for our city. If we look at our revenue budget for fiscal year 25-26, at $195.5 million, sales tax and property tax continues to be our significant revenue sources. Both combinedly represents approximately 53% of our budget, or $103 million. So the growth is really driven by our stable local economy. Both our Development Services Department and also Economic Development Department, they do a tremendous job in getting the right number of businesses and to ensure that we have that both the sales tax component as well as the property tax component in every decision they make and they bring forward to our city council for approval. If we look at our budget on the expenditure side, that's $182.1 million for fiscal year 25-26. The operating budget, 56% of it, or approximately $101 million, it's allocated to the city's most valuable assets. That's our employees. Personnel costs includes both salaries and benefits. The city makes decisions to ensure that our salaries and benefits are competitive amongst cities within our region. Of the budget, 34% is allocated towards operations and maintenance, and that includes anything from contract services to supplies, small equipment, and training and development for our employees. 3% is allocated to our capital outlay. These are one-time purchases, primarily for large equipment like vehicles, equipment, and lastly, the 7%, these are internal service charges. This is primarily to pay for costs associated with maintaining appropriate insurance coverage for the city related to general liability, but always employees' workers' compensation. And part of that too is also to maintain the technology we need in our various services departments citywide. If we look at our budget from a department perspective, the budget summarizes in this table shows that approximately 48.5% of the $182 million is dedicated towards law enforcement, and also for fire and paramedic services. We continue to focus heavily on public safety services. The next department with the most allocation here is administration. This is primarily for most of services we provide at City Hall. And lastly, our risk fund, looking at approximately 8% of our budget. Again, that's primarily to maintain our insurance coverage for our employees and for the city. So Murrieta maintains a very robust capital improvement plan document. Currently, our 5-year CIP plan, which was adopted back in June of 25, our city council, includes approximately $113.5 million of commitments. The plan itself has significant commitments towards streets, bridges. This is primarily for our Keller Road Bridge, and several buildings within our city. Some of the completed projects you see here on the screen includes the Town Square parking lot and monument, the citywide slurry seal project. It includes also exterior paint for our police building. Our police building is over 20 years, and it looks great because we maintain those necessary maintenance to our facilities. For our very young residents in our community, for our children, there have been several tot lots replacements, and some of them also have been enhanced as well. And also includes other park improvements. Some of these projects represents improve in our city infrastructure, and it has enhanced recreation and community spaces in our community. To share with you, we look at our financials on a long-term basis. That includes looking at our city's operating and sustainability reserve. Our policy calls for a 25% operating reserve balance. As of the current and next fiscal year, our operating reserve itself, it's approximately $40.7 million. That represents 30% of our budget, which is slightly higher than the actual policy requirement. The sustainability reserve, that's approximately $37 million. These represent funds that we're setting aside primarily for additional economic contingencies in case there is an economic change in our local economy or national economy. It includes funds put aside for facilities repairs, pension stabilization program, and also future capital improvement plan projects. Okay, Measure T has been an instrumental funding source for the city to improve our overall financial condition. This slide represents some of the significant projects funded through or partially funded through Measure T. These really look at the investments we're making to our residents, reflects accountability and community reinvestments in some of these projects. And that includes, again, several projects to remodel our police department, some projects to remodel our library, and recently we had a City Hall annex additions to accommodate new employees. I spoke a little bit about the tot lot improvements and, of course, the Town Square Park Amphitheater parking lot. So our Murrieta remains financially strong, strategically managed by our city manager and council, and we're always committed to transparency. Our financial reports on our website, both the financial statement, our budget report, as well as a capital improvement plan. And with that, we thank you for your support and your partnership in maintaining the city's physical health. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to our Community Services Director, Brian Ambrose.
Good morning, everyone. So last year, I think I was the only one in this panel doing the presentation that got feedback on this microphone, so I have a little PTSD with it. If it does provide feedback, I think the gentleman in the back is playing with me, so we will see. Again, Brian Ambrose, Director of Community Services, also known as CSD, also informally known as Department of Fun, because that's what we do. We encompass the Parks and Recreation Department. We encompass the Murrieta Library and Homeless Services. So here's where we like to brag a little bit. Murrieta has more parks than any of our neighbors in Southwest Riverside County. We have 53 parks. We also have a library that is one of the busiest of its size, and so we're real proud of that library. And finally, Homeless Services. We have one of the lowest homeless populations per capita in the entire state of California, and we work hard and we invest a lot of money for that. Thank you. So starting off, I'm going to talk a little bit about our Parks and Recreation Department. So our purpose in Parks and Rec is to provide services, open space, and recreational opportunities for all. Not for those that can afford it, not for those that have cognitive abilities to be in programs, but for everyone, and that includes seniors. To do that, we operate 4 facilities, a skate park, 2 disc golf courses, 3 dog parks, including the new one right outside your back gate, a few large sports parks like Los Alamos Hills Sports Parks and Cal Oaks, which is right across the street, and an equestrian park. We also operate a town square amphitheater, and we're planning some lively events coming up there real soon. We also offer over 100 recreational classes. Most importantly is our senior center. If you have not visited our senior center, we definitely welcome you to come by and visit. First of all, it does not cost anything to take part in most of the programming there. There's a lunch program every day, Monday through Friday, provided by the county. Please stop by for that. We also offer a program with Feeding America. Once a month, a mobile food pantry truck comes to the senior center. So if you know anyone in the colony that is food insecure, contact me or contact anyone in the CSD department, also known as, all right, lively group here, Department of Fun. So at the senior center, we have a billiards room, fitness room. There is a small membership fee, annual membership fee to use the fitness room, but it's a beautiful state-of-the-art facility. Large multi-purpose room, computer lab, classroom. We want you to come by. So beg Colony to get you guys a bus and go over there every day. Other things that we offer that are paid recreational classes: chair exercise, Zumba, line dancing, Tai Chi, yoga, and everything that is listed on there. So if you need to get your Tai Chi on, you get down to the senior center, and we have that program for you. Murrieta Public Library. Let me brag a little bit about the programs we offer there as well. Some of the new programs. You can borrow a laptop just like you do a book. A laptop with a hotspot using your library card. We also have a thing called Library of Things. This is, just other things. There's musical instruments that you can take out on loan just like a library book. Just this past weekend, I went hiking with Mr. Scott Agajinian, who apparently disappeared on us, and we borrowed from the library hiking poles. And I will never hike again without hiking poles. And now that he's walking in the room that he heard me, he will probably attest to the same thing, need hiking poles. So get them at the library with the Library of Things. And speaking of hiking, you can also take out a California State Park Pass. So you can go to any of the California State parks using the passes that we have at our library, using your library card. We also have a thing called Zip Books, which is truly amazing. If we don't have a book that you want to read in our circulation, all you need to do is fill out an online form. That book will be directly sent to you from Amazon. When you're finished, you bring it back to the library, they put it into circulation. It's a way to make sure that we have the best circulation, the best books that the people of this community want to read. And finally, our library expansion. I'm happy to report, I was here just a few months ago with our library manager, Melvin Rosellis, and our assistant city manager to talk to you about our expansion, actually to come and beg you for some money for the fundraising of our library expansion. I am happy to report the city council has funded the expansion, and as of this week, the library construction has started. We are going to increase the size of the library by 4,500 square feet. That's going to be 100% a children's section because that is by far our largest audience that come into the library. But that also allows us to repurpose the rest of the library and expand to offer even more programming. So without a doubt, I thank you for those who have given, and it's not too late. If you still want to give, you let me know, and we'll get you hooked up with the Library Foundation. One of the most popular programs at the library is our seed library. Literally, you can go down there and get seeds to any type of vegetable. If you're better at growing things than I am, you grow them and you bring seeds back, and it makes it sustainable. It's an incredible program. It is highly popular. It's right in our library. Come by and check it out. Catherine Miller is a library staff member. She runs the program, and she's wishing people come to talk to her. She will talk to you for hours about growing things. So come visit that and grow some good vegetables for yourself. Now on to homeless services. I know the council member provided a lot of information, but I'll go over some of the things. Murrieta is incredibly unique because not only are we one of the safest communities, we also have one of the lowest homeless populations. So much so that we recently received a huge grant. The County of Riverside applied on our behalf, and City of Murrieta is managing the grant for them for 4 cities in Southwest Riverside County. But we have a hardworking team that ensures homelessness is rare, brief, and non-reoccurring. We also have a goal of functional zero homeless in Murrieta. That means on any day of the year, there is a bed available for someone wishing to move towards housing sustainability. So they have to desire to move into our program. They have to desire to, get all their documents, make sure that they have insurance, and we help them through this process with our case managers. The team that we have is amazing, and no other city that I know of that I speak with has the amount of resources invested in it as ours does. The 2 officers in the back looking at their phones right now, they're going to wave to you. They want you to talk to them. They are part of our community policing team. Whenever our homeless staff member, Lindsay Sisti, needs help in an encampment or needs to make sure a scene is safe, these gentlemen are the ones that come out all the time. So we have a dedicated police team. We also have a dedicated community behavioral health assessment team. That's the team that the council member was talking about. That has a mental health clinician from Riverside County that is embedded in one of our police cars with a specially trained police officers to respond to mental health calls. That is amazing. A lot of other cities do not have that resource. We also have full-time street outreach. We have full-time case management. We have how many people here knew that we have a emergency homeless shelter in Murrieta? Well, Mike Fisher knows everything, by the way, so he knows that. He's also one of my former park commissioners before he went on to greater things with the Planning Commission. But we have a homeless shelter in Murrieta. We also have street outreach teams that include medical care. So we have a primary care street medical team that goes out with us. We have a full-time, we have access to a full-time mental health team that goes out with us. And as the council member mentioned, as well as was a little humble on it, she helped bring Care Solace to the city. So every homeless family that comes into our shelter has access to counseling services. Excuse me. We were the first ones, by the way, the first city to implement Care Solace. Care Solace was in schools for students. We brought it into cities, and now more cities are joining that trend. So a couple of, let me go back one there. A couple of analytics to let you know that your money is being well spent. Since the beginning of this year, our street outreach teams have contacted 74 new unduplicated individuals in Murrieta alone this year. That's this calendar year. In August alone, our emergency shelter housed 42 individuals. Of those, 14 were children. All year long, since the beginning of January, we housed 44 children in our emergency shelter that have moved on to transitional and permanent supportive housing. I mentioned that huge grant that we got to operate the 4 cities. That's Lake Elsinore, Menifee, Murrieta, and Wildomar. In partnership with the county, we have contacted and enrolled 97 individuals. That's since May. That's just a few months ago. 97 individuals have been enrolled, and of those, 78 are either temporarily or permanently housed. That's an 80% success rate. You don't see that anywhere else in the state. It's because we have the resources that we plan for those. Thank you for that. We also take a very proactive approach to encampments and encampment cleanups. We work with our police department regularly. As soon as we spot an encampment, as soon as you call in that you see someone living in an encampment, we go out there. We don't go out there to arrest them. We go out there to assess the situation. We go out there to assess their mental health, their substance abuse issues, and offer them housing, and offer them detox, offer them rehabilitation services. And we work with them. We're constantly going out there and working with them. Occasionally, we do have to go out there and enforce the law because you wouldn't want somebody just plotting down on your property. Same thing as any vacant property out there or any business. They don't want homeless individuals setting up a tent to the front of their businesses. So we work with those homeless and we get them housed. So that concludes my presentation. With that, I'm going to pass things along to the man whose only character flaw is his love of the LA Dodgers, David Chantarangsu.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, everybody. It's always challenging to follow the Department of Fun. One of these days, I'm going to remind Brian that the reason he gets to do all his cool programs is because of all the development that's going on, but he'd probably do it anyway. So, anyway, right out of the gate, I wanted to draw your attention to our development activity map. So this is on our webpage, and so all those different colored squares that you see on the map, if you click on the shape or the rectangle, you'll get information that pops up about the project. So I understand that this presentation is available in hard copy. So if you're interested in getting the QR code that you see up there on the screen, you can get that from the printout that's available in the back. So just to give you some hints about the color code there, the red projects or the projects in red are housing projects that are under consideration. The blue areas are housing projects that have been approved, and then the green areas are still under review. So there's a color key on the map that'll explain everything that you want. So and this map really supports the next couple of slides that I'm going to talk about in terms of the development that's happening within the city. So in 2024, we actually had a little bit of a slowdown. Although you see things under construction in the community, those were things that we approved back in 2022 and 2023. And so that's why you're seeing new construction, even though we didn't have any multifamily, for example. No multifamily projects that pulled a permit in 2024. So a little bit of a slowdown. We hear that things are going to be picking back up in 2026 and 2027. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. As I was going through these figures, one of the things that I noticed is there's not really any significant commercial activity happening yet. You heard Councilmember Stone talk about the triangle. I've got a slide about that. So for the non-residential permits, we only issued 64, but what we're seeing is shopping centers that have vacancies, kind of what we call the second generation spaces, they're getting filled up with new businesses that are coming into the community, and that's to a large extent for Scott's efforts. So we're going to continue to see businesses wanting to come to Murrieta, but it's not going to be new construction. They're going to be occupying existing buildings. So, and then there's a lot of other like miscellaneous permit data there. But the one thing that I wanted to draw your attention to the bottom is our code enforcement cases. So we have 6 code enforcement officers that cover the city. They respond primarily to property maintenance issues where property's not being maintained. Typically, it's a residential property. And so these our 6 code enforcement officers, they carry a workload of about 300 cases each. So there's roughly about 1,800 cases in the city every year. And of those 1,800 or so cases, we're able to resolve probably upwards of 95% of those. We try to work with the residents, educate them about code violations that they may not even be aware of on their property, which is why we receive the complaint, and then we work with them to resolve those complaints. So that's what code enforcement does. And then in terms of our active housing developments, So this is as of August. So we have about 1,600 units that are actively being processed right now. And so entitled units, so those are, I mentioned the projects that we probably looked at back in 2022 and 2023. Those 3,000 units that you see that, represented there are from those projects. And then we've got almost 2,000 units under construction. I think since this slide was prepared, we actually had some of those units open or come online for residents to rent mostly. The reason why we have so much residential activity, so this slide covers changes in state law that essentially, Councilmember Stone talked about local control. The state has really carved out housing as an area that it wants to see more housing production, and this is throughout the state. If you haven't heard it before, Governor Newsom, I think a few years back, quipped that California needed 3 million more housing units, 2.5 to 3 million, I forget the exact number. So the state legislature, probably for the past 7 or 8 years, has been active in passing legislation that the governor has been signing that takes away city review rights or local control and really makes it really difficult for cities to say no to housing. So the pinnacle was legislation that we call SB 330 or the Housing Crisis Act. So you can see some of the limitations that are identified there. Cities cannot reduce density or the intensity of land use. We had to kind of lock in, so to speak, the amount of housing that was allowed under our general plan back in 2018. And then the state also put in what we call shot clocks. Like we were given mandates to process housing projects as quickly as we could. Generally, the state gives us like 90 days to move through a housing approval once the application materials are all submitted. And then once a housing project is approved, developers have about 30 months to get a permit, and they've incentivized developers to get their permits quickly, because if they don't, they lose some protections that the state has given them. And then the last point is really the important piece of where the city has local control. It's like the city can only deny a project or reduce density based on specific adverse impacts related to health and safety, the environment, and one of the things that I wanted to point out is Councilmember Stone mentioned traffic. The state back in 2018 told cities that traffic was no longer an environmental impact. So all the planning for 40 years that has been happening, basically the state said doesn't matter anymore. You have to ignore traffic impacts and approve projects and find other ways to deal with traffic. So that's what we've been dealing with. So I wish I worked in the Department of Fun, because some days it's not so fun. But this is a fun project that I'm going to just give you a brief update about. Councilmember Stone mentioned the triangle. So the City Council approved in 2024 the first phase of the project. It's about 270,000 square feet. So the larger buildings that you can see in the kind of like toward the bottom of the screen, those are like the anchors of the project. So shopping, entertainment, fitness, grocery, those are the anchor projects, or the anchor tenants, I would say, that are going to occupy the site. And then the bottom, you'll see a green area that's kind of like a phase 2. They're already working on a phase 2, which is going to bring in a pretty large, nationally recognized entertainment use. So we're really excited about that. And then switching gears to the building pads along Murrieta Hot Springs Road, primarily those are going to be new restaurants. So we're really excited to see new food users come in that have been, and I'm sure Scott will talk about this, restaurant users that have been excited to come into Murrieta, and they've been waiting for this project to develop. So we're hoping they break ground as soon as they can. And then just talking about some priority projects for us. Because of changes in state law, we have to update our general plan, which if you're not familiar with that, that's kind of like the city's comprehensive long-range plan for how the city continues to build and evolve. So because of changes to fire hazard mapping, which Chief didn't really talk about, but basically there's areas within the city that have or that are exposed to dangerous fire conditions or potential dangerous fire conditions. You talked about fire insurance and why it's an issue for them or that they're working on. So we have to update our planning documents to reflect those conditions. We also are going to incorporate work that Brian's team actually did with parks and open space. So again, we're updating our planning documents to address that. And then we're also updating a effort that we undertook in 2018 with climate action planning. So trying to care for the environment, and which might actually help with some of the fire hazards that we're dealing with. So we're building all of that into our general plan for the future. And so again, you've got a QR code if you're interested. This will take you to the city's general plan webpage, and then there's a web address if you need it. The other thing that we recently completed, so if you happen to live in Orange County, maybe in the 1990s, 2000s in the coastal areas, there was a huge problem with what we call sober living homes. So basically those were homes that were unlicensed, didn't need to be licensed by any agency or body, and they basically operated as homes where people could come together and try to support themselves in their sobriety. Well, there were a lot of problems with that approach. There were a lot of abuses. People were getting basically brokered to move from sober living home to sober living home. And for 20 years, cities really struggled with that issue because residents, while they're in recovery, they're considered to be disabled. And so there's state and federal protections that happen there. So last year, or maybe the year before that, cities finally got a victory in the courts, in federal court, and were able to essentially regulate sober living homes. So a couple of months back, the city of Murrieta, the city council recognized this as a threat to the community. And so we were able to come up with our own regulations that would require a sober living home operator basically to come through the city to really help us benefit the residents who live there, who were going through recovery. One of the issues was when people's insurance ran out, they would just get, the term is called curbed. They would have to leave their recovery home, and it would create a homeless problem. So we've created a program where we have to be notified if a resident is being or asked to leave the home, and it'll allow Brian to maybe offer services to them so that they don't become homeless and another statistic, and help them get home. So we're really grateful to the City Council for supporting us in that, and we're happy to have that project squared away. So looking ahead, Walmart's expanding. I think they're reviewing their final conditions of approval, and so it's about a 50,000 square foot expansion. And so hopefully it'll be a little less crowded. I think they're adding grocery to that particular Walmart over by Madison. And then I showed the Triangle. We're going to be busy working with the Triangle developer, getting that project off the ground. And then finally, the Murrieta Hills specific plan, I didn't really call attention to it in the activity map that I had, but there's about 600 homes located in the Murrieta Hills specific plan area, which was approved right around 2021. And so these are basically $1 million homes off of Keller, which are going to be opposite of Kaiser on the west side of the freeway. So we're really excited about that project. It's going to add a type of home that we don't really have, or don't have a lot of in the community. And then the other great thing about Murrieta Hills specific plan is there's about 600 acres of open space that's going to be preserved out of the 900 acres that that project is involved in. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my partner in development, Mr. Bob Mailing, the Public Works and Engineering Director. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody. As David said, my name is Bob Mailing, Director of Public Works. Been with the city since 2002. I too came up here to the city of Murrieta back when it was 40,000 people, looking for a cheaper home and better schools for my children. It definitely provided that, but now, currently I think our population is 114,000 people. So with that comes the people, the house, the rooftops, the development, comes the traffic. So Councilmember Stone asked me to talk a little bit about traffic issues this morning, and it's definitely not the Department of Fun when it talks about traffic issues. So I just want to leave that with Brian. One of the projects we brought forward, actually, Councilmember Stone brought this forward, was the Los Alamos Road Corridor. Anyone who drives Los Alamos Road anytime in the school times between, say, 7:30 and 8:30, disaster, right? Everyone around a school has to deal with school traffic. So Councilmember Stone said, I'm trying to get from Whitewood westbound on Los Alamos Road over to Jefferson to come to City Hall. I can't do it without pulling what little hair I have out of my head. And it takes, 20, 25 minutes. So we try to implement some pilot projects here to take a look at the traffic on Los Alamos Road. We did some traffic runs. We're looking at trying to manipulate some of the actual timing on the traffic signals. There's quite a few traffic signals. And of course, you're going over the 215, which those traffic signals are operated by the Caltrans Department of Transportation. So we have some coordination issues we do. So we're currently looking at this. And another thing you don't want to do is you don't really want to be on Los Alamos Road right now because we're actually resurfacing Los Alamos Road from Whitewood all the way to Lincoln. So currently those traffic signal loops are no longer in service, so you're in like a recall timing. So there's no actual calls. It's actually just on kind of a replay. So that project is going at night. It should be done in the next month or so. But this project, we're going to come back to council and provide what kind of observations we found and what we can do to actually improve the traffic on the Los Alamos corridor. So that's one project we're looking at, thanks to Councilmember Stone bringing that to my attention every time I see a white Jeep out in the parking lot. The other things I want to talk about is the arterials in the city of Murrieta. Murrieta Hot Springs in this picture, all the way from Winchester Road to Jefferson, all those traffic signals are synchronized. So what I mean by that is in the morning, they're actually set up so you can get to the 15 and 215 as quickly as possible. So you'll see more green time for the cars going east-west, actually towards the interchange, because that's where the majority of traffic is. We're a commuter city, so most people are going the 15, 215 to get to work in the morning. So I come down from Kell Oaks. I live off of Murrieta Oaks East. So I jump on Clinton Keith, and I come down Clinton Keith, make the turn onto Kell Oaks. It takes me about 8 minutes to get to work in the morning because I have the green prompts mostly getting me through all these traffic signals, getting me to the freeway. So fortunately, I go underneath the freeway. I get to City Hall in about 8 minutes. At night, when I leave work at 6 o'clock, well, I should say in the morning, I'm leaving work at 6:45. So that's when the signals are synchronized. So I can actually afford to be able to get through there. After about 9 o'clock, they go back to where you have what's called free timing, where cars on the side streets will actually make the light turn red on the main street. So in the morning, those people on the side streets are going to wait a little bit longer for all the traffic to get to the freeways. And then after about 9 o'clock, it recognizes the people on the side streets a little bit more, so it'll take you a little bit more time to get there. At night, I leave at 6 p.m. I get, if I can make the signal at Kelmia and Madison, I can get home without stopping. I hit every green light. I know a lot of people say I hit every red light when I'm trying to travel down Kell Oaks, when I'm trying to travel down Hot Springs. If I make that first light, I don't stop until I get into my driveway, which is really fortunate for me. Again, it takes me about 8 or 9 minutes to get up Kell Oaks. Everyone's speeding around me on the left to try to make that turn now that we actually have the overlap on Kell Oaks and to get on Clinton Keith Road. But traffic is synchronized to go to and from the freeways in the morning and the afternoons during rush hours. So I just want to let people know that it's on Hot Springs, it's on Jefferson, it's on Kell Oaks, it's on Clinton Keith Road. The only issues we kind of deal with is with the Caltrans folks and their traffic signals at all our major freeways. Unfortunately, we have the pleasure of having 2 major interstates running through our city, so we have to deal with both the 15 and the 215. But those are things that we actually communicate with Caltrans with and get help from them to work that. Also, we have a traffic light synchronization program. We had it around since about 2008 or 9. We actually have traffic cameras that we can monitor in the City Hall. We have this room in City Hall, if anybody's ever seen that. We have about 15 cameras on some of the major arterials, say Clinton Keith and Whitewood, or Hot Springs and Alta. Hot Springs and Alta, our busiest intersection. 75,000 people go through that intersection every day. So there's going to be traffic. And unfortunately, it's right next to the 215 off-ramps, which are controlled by Caltrans. So we work our best to try to coordinate all the traffic signals in town. We want to get our people across the interstates. Caltrans wants to get the people off the interstate. So we have a little bit of a priority issues there to deal with. They want their ramps cleared so that no one gets rear-ended, from a fast-moving vehicle waiting to get on the off-ramp to get off. We want to get our people over the freeways and onto the freeways. So it's a little bit of a priorities that we deal with in terms of dealing with Caltrans. But we monitor these different cameras. They don't record. We get calls from attorneys saying, can I get this camera footage of my client got in an accident? We don't record. We just actually monitor and are able to look at these intersections. helps us to change time. If we say there's a big accident on the southbound 15, everyone's jumping off, getting on Jefferson Avenue, so we can actually increase our green time on Jefferson, try to get people past that accident and back onto the freeway into Temecula. We did actually, when we first got this program on Hot Springs Road, we did actually traffic runs after we had the lights synchronized, and actually saw a 16% increase or decrease in traffic and a 21% decrease in traffic going from, say, Winchester to the 215 or Jefferson all the way over to Winchester. So we know synchronization works. A lot of times we get a lot of calls from people who don't think it works, but that's part of being the Department of Fun. We actually maintain 84 signals in town. It's going up a little bit every year. We get a few more signals in town that we maintain. This is just a quick net diagram showing the signals that we have in synchronization are the green dots. The other ones are different streets like Washington and say in Jefferson that are in and out of synchronization that we can actually monitor. So it's a great asset we have with the city with our traffic engineering. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit is capital improvement projects that we have are in the city that are big impacts on the city. The highest priority is the Keller Road interchange on the 215, right by Kaiser, right by Loma Linda. We're trying to get an interchange there so you can get on and off the 215 and get to both the hospital facilities and medical offices in the area quicker. Here's just a quick shot looking southbound from a drone, looking southbound on 215. You see Keller's in the bottom left corner. If you look up into the upper right middle, there's Loma Linda. So we're currently working with Caltrans to get a full interchange at this intersection so you can, like I said, emergency vehicles, just people going to and from the medical facilities and everything else that'll grow once this is installed will definitely aid the city residents here. It's definitely needed. The problem we have is Caltrans and funding. Here's actually a rendition of the preferred alternative by the city is a roundabout approach. I don't know if anyone's been to Morongo up off of the 10. There's a similar roundabout interchange up at the Morongo location. Much easier to get on and off and actually no signals. When there's no traffic signals, there's less points of access or points of collision for any types of accidents. You have less T-bone intersections when people are going through red lights. I know red light running is a big issue for safety in the city. So with no traffic signals, you slow and go through the roundabouts versus actually having make a 90-degree turn or go through an intersection. So we're looking at this project. We're looking for funding. We expect to have this out to construction in 2027, completed by the end of 2027, which will then allow Kaiser, from what we're told, to build an 8-story hospital. So it's a very important project for the council and for myself. It's #1 priority. Just talks about different things, and it's a $61 to $74 million project, depending on which alternative is selected, and it should be open to traffic by December of 2027. Other projects currently under construction is the Murrieta Hot Springs Road from Margarita to Winchester. This is the last portion of Hot Springs Road that is a current 4-lane facility. It has no sidewalks and no bike lanes, so once actually this is completed, it started in September. It should be done by the middle of next summer. You have 6 lanes, 3 in each direction. You'll be able to drive from Winchester Road on the east side all the way over to Jefferson Avenue to get to a 6-lane facility, have sidewalks, bike lanes, and much more safer facility for everyone on the east side of town. We had estimated this project at about $10 million. It came in at $15.2 million. It's the price of construction just continues to rise year after year. It's why we're important to get things done as soon as we possibly can. Again, that's open to completion around May of 2026. I know there's one section working on, it's not, I don't know if it's familiar with the people here, but Jefferson Avenue up at the northwest side of town where you typically go Washington and you make the S-curve and get onto Palomar. The city of Wildomar actually has a big development going on there, currently grading. It's actually going to realign Palomar Street that will then, if you follow the kind of the blue curve area at the top here, will connect Palomar directly to Jefferson Avenue. So the current Washington Avenue would then tee into the new alignment of Palomar Jefferson, and the majority of traffic coming from Wildomar going to Wildomar will stay on Jefferson. It'll cut down quite a bit of traffic on Washington Avenue for people coming into town. That connection was supposed to be made by the county back in, say, 2008. Then they found out that Wildomar was going to become a city, and they said, Wildomar, you go build it. We're not going to build it for you. So there was actually a groundbreaking ceremony for that connection point back in 2008. Never happened. So, but that's coming right now. If you ever drive out that way and take Washington North, you go into Wildomar, you'll see that heavy grading going on that kind of blue area in this picture as well, and bring it to your attention that that's a project that's currently undergoing. And we'll be able to make that drive from Palomar Street directly into Jefferson here probably in the next year or so. We do have a couple traffic signals that are under contract to have a new signal installed at Jefferson and Magnolia in the area of the school, and for a lot of pedestrians that actually walk to school through that intersection. We're going to signalize that. It's currently a four-way stop. Also at Nutmeg and Clinton Keith, a lot of people come out of the back gate and go up to Clinton Keith. We have a protected left turn at that intersection. If you're actually, we have some intersections that have conflicts going through the intersection, so we're actually installing the protected left-hand turn signal there. David also talked about the Walmart expansion. When they do that expansion, they're required to put in a traffic signal at the entrance to Walmart on Madison. So instead of kind of battling to make that left-hand turn or get out again, there'll be a traffic signal installed there, make it much easier to get in and out of Walmart when that increase starts. And like I said, dealing with Caltrans, there's a lot of priorities that are different for the city and the state. Also, we have all these coordinating timings, and we started, I think, in Clinton Keith, the 215. We implemented timing in 2022. The Hot Springs Road has just got done here in 2025. We had Los Alamos. We coordinated timing with Caltrans. So we are coordinating the timing with Caltrans. It's just a matter of they still own the signals themselves, so they have the last say in it. So it's really, we can't tell them what to do, but we do coordinate with the different traffic divisions there and try to get the maximum timing for our residents to get over those freeways. So the one thing that Councilmember Stone talked about was the unfunded mandates. We do deal with issues in the state. There's more electric cars, so less gas tax is being collected by the state and given to the cities. Also, they have a climate action plan for transportation improvements, which provides more money for transit projects and less money for capacity projects like the Keller Interchange. So there's less and less money to be getting from the state that actually goes to buses, light rail, high-speed trains. That all actually, the CAPT program, Climate Action Plan for Traffic Transportation Improvements, gives a lot of that money to those transit projects that don't serve the city. I mean, everyone here, unfortunately, is a commuter city with a lot of cars. So that's what we're kind of dealing with in terms of unfunded mandates. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to similar barber, but talks a lot faster than I do, Scott Agajanian.
I'm going to try to live up to that really warm welcome. And first of all, I want to say every single one of us agreed that we were going to wear gray suits today, but three of us are in mourning. So if you see them, they're right now mourning the Padres, the Phillies, and the Cubs. So prayers up, guys. Sorry for them. And so I'm from economic development, the Department of Even More Fun. Brian tries to take credit for it all the time, but come on, seriously. We get to do stuff like bring new businesses to the city, new places to shop and eat, and we care a lot about demographics and numbers, which gets really boring, so we're going to do this fast. There's a lot of money in the city of Murrieta, 121,000 people. The census will tell you it's about 112, 113,000. It's a complete lie. Your cell phones tell the truth. Every night, there's 121,207 cell phones sleeping here in the city. That's how we know where you are. And of those cell phones, they make an average of $139,772 per family. So we also know how much they make. We know where they shop, everything they do. Our labor force right now is 60,661. We've talked a lot about housing here in the city. And why this is important is that when all these new houses come into the city, we've got to create that many more jobs, or else we create more commuters. And as Bob alluded to, the state's not making any more lanes. They're not putting any more freeway lanes. They're not helping us really with the road network. So the answer to that is jobs at home. Not in your house, but jobs in your backyard, jobs in Murrieta, so that people in Murrieta have the choice to work in Murrieta. So a lot of the things that we focus on in economic development is how do we create jobs that fit our marketplace? How do we create jobs that people here would want to work in? High-income people need higher paid jobs. So we look at a lot of professional services and medical, and we'll get into that. Right now, let's do the fun stuff. Housing, not the fun stuff. Let's skip it. Fun stuff, redeveloping existing shopping centers. There is so much going on in the existing shopping centers. So most job growth doesn't come from a new business coming in. That's the big shiny thing. We love to brag about that stuff. Most stuff comes from when a business in the city grows and expands. In this case, these are shopping centers that are growing and expanding. So everybody remembers last year Trader Joe's came in. Did you know our Trader Joe's is 65% busier than the average Trader Joe's, the national average? And why is that? It's the first Trader Joe's they've ever built that decided to have parking in front of it. And so now you can go to Trader Joe's, park at Trader Joe's, walk into Trader Joe's, get your groceries, get back to your car. It's amazing and it's working fantastically. The Orchard, as you know, got a Home Depot and a Ross. It's also going to get a Petco and a Five Below and a bunch of more shops in the Orchard Shopping Center. That's the one off the 215 freeway at Clinton Keith. Murrieta Town Center is constantly growing and evolving. They added the Capriotti's. Du Bois Pizza, everybody try that yet? Du Bois is fantastic. They home make their Italian dressing. It's like they just pour salt right into it. It's the greatest dressing I've had. Love that place. And there's a new Himalayan restaurant that I hear the fire chief ate at and said was really, really good. So some Indian cuisine. And so there's constantly new restaurants coming into that center, and they have plans for even more restaurants coming into that center. So they've got a lot of really cool plans over there. Wanted to talk about Village Walk. So Village Walk has added Tikka Tikka, which is an Indian restaurant. They've added Kuman, they've added a Dollar Tree, but they're about to add 2 really big users. So the emptiest center we have in the city of Murrieta is Village Walk. And a lot of people say it's because it's hard to get to, because you have to actually make 2 right-hand turns to get into there. But rest assured, if In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A were in there, you'd all find it every day. So the real answer is just getting the right users in there. And we're about to announce 2 big users to fill up the large Sports Authority empty space and the large Office Max empty space, the 2 largest spaces left. And I can't say who they are now, but they're really, really fun and exciting. So we can't wait to see that happen. And that will fill up the emptiest center in the city. Now, here's where we talk about foot traffic. So also with those cell phones that we're watching you with every single day, they tell us how many people are shopping in our stores. So our Albertsons on Cal Oaks is 2 times the national average of Albertsons. It's twice as busy as your normal Albertsons. And for this reason, my dad sometimes goes out of town to shop in Wildemar, even though I'm the economic development director in the city. And when you do that, you're taking dollars out of Murrieta, and I get to lose my job. So shopping in Murrieta is really important, even if it is a busier shop. Our Target is 18% busier than the average Target, and we have 2. So the idea that we have 2 Targets and they're still busier than average is amazing. So much so that we had a Home Depot so busy they had to build a second Home Depot, and it's still busier than the average. So that means people are shopping here. Our Lowe's is twice as busy as a national average. So is our Walmart. And our Walmart's so busy that they're expanding. And not only are they expanding on site, they're also expanding off of site. Walmart is really booming here. Our Walmart isn't a super Walmart yet, but it's busier than the average super Walmart. So our Walmart within a smaller box does more business than a large Walmart. And just here's some more examples of all of our stores being busier than the national average, meaning we have good money to spend here, we have people who shop here, and that makes it really easy to bring more retailers in. Has everybody tried Lynn's Grand Buffet? The last buffet that hasn't kicked me out yet for eating too much? Lynn's is fantastic. They have a Mongolian barbecue that's made fresh on the spot. It is delicious. They're always busy. They're doing really, really well. And Baskin-Robbins just opened up. We actually have 2 more ice cream shops in line right now trying to come to Murrieta. This is the day of ice cream. There's tons of ice cream places coming in here. The new Himalayan Grill. There's a Nala's Grooming. Haven't been there. And the Meeting Spot, which is a new coffee house. But what I wanted to mention is Wands. Has everybody seen the old RJ Sizzle and Steer that's been empty forever? So they got a little ahead of themselves, started doing work without coming to the city yet, and so they had to slow down a little bit and get their permits. They've got their permits now, and I spoke to them just yesterday, and they're going to start building here and completing the project. They are busy doing a project in Las Vegas. So this is a group out of Las Vegas that owns 2 restaurants. They're adding a 3rd in Las Vegas right now. They kind of fell behind in line on that, but they are going to complete that project. They are going to open there. They've already permitted and ready to go by David's department. So, wow, it's raining out there. Okay, come on down. So they are going to open. You'll see a new bar and grill that's going to open up there. We're very excited to see what they have to offer. And talking about the ice cream places, there's a place called Twisted Spoon's Ice Cream Cereal Bar coming in on Murrieta Hot Springs Road. What could possibly sound better than that? We've got a lot of coffee coming in, and what I'm excited about is we have some non-Starbucks coffee coming into the city. We've got plenty of Starbucks, and they're great, but they also tend to control what is allowed to go in next in the centers. But we've got Better Buzz, Black Rock Coffee, all looking to come into the city. 2 Black Rock coffees, actually. We're currently working on a new auto dealership that's going to be announced very soon. We can't say who it is, but it's a Highline dealership that's going to go in our auto mall, and that's going to complete our auto mall, and that's why we're working on a second auto mall. We're actually working with another dealership right now that wants to go outside of our auto mall. So a lot of auto coming in, and why is auto important? Because when you look at the highest tax revenue generators in the city, of the top 25, 7 of them are auto. Like, that's just car dealerships. Cars are expensive. They create a lot of revenue, helps fund police and fire. Coming soon, we're going to have 2 new family entertainment centers coming in. Urban Air, so if anybody in here like trampoline parks? No? Wrong crowd? Dang it. I thought you might. Well, if you like trampoline parks, you're going to love Urban Air. It's just a big trampoline park where you can bounce and play dodgeball and do flips, all kinds of fun stuff. That's going into Village Walk in the old Bed Bath & Beyond location. And we also have Arcade Monster. Arcade Monster is a competitor of Dave & Buster's, so it's going to take over the old roller skating rink out on the 215 at Los Alamos. And it's all arcade, so big arcade stuff, all kinds of fun and family entertainment stuff, which is what we like here. And just to update on the Murrieta Hot Springs Resort, which opened in 2024, they've opened Talia's Kitchen. Has anybody tried Talia's Kitchen? It is upscale dining in the city of Murrieta. It is good. I've heard Brian Ambrose was just raving about his experience there. Chief Henry, I'm sure you're going to have a better one next time. But it is an upscale restaurant right at the front of the Murrieta Hot Springs Resort. You don't have to be staying there to eat there. So it is an open restaurant to the public, great dinners, a little highline fancy fare, but it's really, really good. In our downtown, if you've driven through our downtown on the corner of Washington and Kalmia, there's a 67,000 square foot mixed use building. It's going to be all restaurants on the bottom and all residential above it. And if you go by right now, they're grading the site. So they're getting ready to build that project, and it's going to have some really good restaurants. I've talked to a couple of them, very excited about what's going in there. As with always with economic development, we've got really, really good stuff going on, and we can't tell you any of it. Oh, we can tell you these ones. There are 8 hotels in our pipeline. There's 6 hotels currently in Murrieta, and there are 8 more that are coming soon. In the next 4 days, I'm literally meeting with 3 of them. They are all gearing up to get done. I'm very excited about what's coming in. Most of them are over by the hospitals because people need to have hotel stays when they're by hospitals. And so we're excited to see that side of the city getting going. And just to continue on about the medical, every year we talk about this, but 16% of our workforce works in medical. That's why there's so much medical growth. There's such a demand in this area with the growing population. We need more healthcare opportunities. This is the time of healthcare growth. Everybody's going to expand. Bob mentioned the Kaiser Hospital is going to put a 7-story tower on their site. They've got plans and they've got kind of an order. They're finishing a couple medical office buildings, and then they're going to start building that hospital, and it'll probably come in concert with the opening of the Keller Interchange. But also Loma Linda has announced they're building a new hospital tower. There's a new hotel and medical office building that's going to go next to Loma Linda, just above Loma Linda. They're currently planning a 4-story medical office building, and Loma Linda is already talking to them about being tenants in that building and using up some of that space. So there's going to be a hotel and a medical office building right there. Everyone in the city is growing. We just celebrated a new Riverside Medical Clinic opening up here, and there's tons of growth in the healthcare space. We do a lot of work in the city of Murrieta just to communicate to the public. We do a newsletter both for the city and for economic development. So if you care about the things that are going on in economic development, come see me and I'll get you added to our newsletter. And I would talk a little bit on the healthcare side about the Murrieta Innovation Center. This is the part that gets really boring. This is a biotech incubator. This is a building that we use as our first city hall that we use to start medical companies. Because in the city of Murrieta, we have a lot of healthcare services, but we want to generate jobs and beyond just the healthcare services, so we try to start healthcare companies. These are technology companies. They do a lot of research and development. We have received in the last couple of years $5.5 million of grants from the federal government and from the county to build a wet lab here in Murrieta. It's only the second wet lab in Riverside County. The other one's at UC Riverside. And the reason we got this funds is because Murrieta's had about 13 to 15 companies incubating with us at any time, companies that are getting started and looking for funding. They go to Shark Tank type events where they talk about their business and pitch it to get investment, and they've been pretty successful. So successful that the Fed said, we're going to give you $3 million to try to grow more of those companies. Very rare in a city that has this kind of incomes to get that kind of investment, and some of the companies are really, really cool. Just to put it in perspective, we have more companies incubating in the Murrieta Innovation Center, not next to any university, than UCLA does in their wet lab. So we start a lot of companies here, and so we're very proud of that. And this is where our companies are from. We do a lot of work to bring in companies from outside of the area that want to start their business, and a lot of international work. Many of our companies are now from overseas that want to come to the United States, and they're looking for a place to land the business. So we have companies from Netherlands and Canada and into Italy and all kinds of places. And we're about to announce another one that's coming in from overseas. And all of these companies are healthcare based, but they're all looking to start their businesses in the USA, and we're helping them to start it here in Murrieta so they can create new jobs for the community. With that, our team is all of 3 people. Smallest department in the city, but we love getting stuff done with just a few people. And I'm going to kick it back to the one and only Mrs. Lori Stone, who I think has another introduction. Do you want me to skip right over too? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, not yet. Keep it inside. Very rarely do you get to introduce your boss, the one who signs your paycheck. Literally, my job description says, I serve at the pleasure of the city manager, and here's the city manager, Mr. Justin Clifton, to come up and give an introduction on the city.
I'm going to make this really fast because you've heard a lot about the great services and programs that the team is really focused on, and I know you want to get to questions and answers. So I only want you to know a couple of things about me. And the first one is that I'm here by choice because I love this city. I was actually, I have a long history in local government, about 20 years. I've served as a city manager now for 5 cities in 3 states. I had decided, actually before joining Murrieta, to leave public service, in part because When you're a city manager, you get a job in whatever city needs a city manager, and there's only one of them. And I wanted to live in the place where I wanted to live. I wanted to live in a community that was safe and high quality for my kids, and I was perfectly happy being a consultant where I could live anywhere. And then, much to my surprise, as my house is on the market and getting ready to relocate the family, Murrieta has a job opening. So sometimes it's just meant to be. I mentioned in the beginning that what I love about my job, and I think I have the best job up here, is that I get to serve. I get to serve an amazing council. We really do have a group of outstanding elected officials. Again, in all the cities I've worked for, I think is probably more than 50 elected officials. Nobody cares more about serving residents directly than Lori Stone. When the job means showing up, she shows up. When it means rolling up her sleeves, she rolls up her sleeves. And if the job sometimes calls for someone who's willing to get in there and fight, she's absolutely willing to get in there and fight. And it's just a pleasure to work for her and our other elected officials. Next, I get to serve this group of individuals. You had a highlight reel of some of the good stuff that we're doing. Inevitably, if you've been around the community, you've said to yourself at one time or another, I wish the city would do this, or I wish the city would do that. But I think you can also see, as we get to cover the good work that we're doing, we're leading in areas like police and fire. We're doing amazing things in homeless services. Our library and the rest of the fund is outstanding. We're working on big projects like the Triangle. Scott's bringing in people, left and right to make this community better. Bob has managed to synchronize all of the lights from City Hall back to his house. So the team, really, it's such a pleasure. I get to be the coach behind the scenes, helping us refine strategy, making sure we're focusing on leadership, that we're recruiting and retaining the best, and always thinking about how to get a little better, because the last group that I get to serve is you, the residents, and that's the most important one. All of us exist for that singular purpose, to serve you. Again, inevitably, if you've been around the town and you've thought, why don't we do more of this? Why don't we do more of that? We don't have the luxury, like most businesses, to serve a niche. We serve everybody, and that means a lot of demands are placed on the local government. Still, I think, the very best government that exists anywhere on the planet. So it takes a lot to try to prioritize and stay focused, but it's still always important that we hear directly from you. When there are some of the worst of circumstances, like the fatal accident we had not long ago here, I'm at the table making sure that we're doing what we can to be part of the solution. I keep regular contact with Jim and the board to make sure that we're plugged in and understand the issues that are important to you. Anytime you need something from the city, you're in good hands to reach out to anybody here or anybody that answers the phone. To the extent you just don't know who, you can always contact the city manager. One title that you probably won't forget. You can do the same with any elected official or the mayor. Call us, tell us what you need. We're here for you, to serve you. Again, my honor to be here. Thank you for listening. I enjoyed listening to all the good things we do, captured in one nice long presentation. And I think with that, we're ready for some Q&A.
Before we get to Q&A, there's a few other people that I would really like to thank and recognize that are here with us today. Christina Davies, who's our PIO. Thank you so much for being here. Rachel Guerrera, who's our Senior Executive Assistant. Thank you so much. She is just so amazing. Rosa Vega, she's our Executive to the City Manager. She's been here for, I think, 20 years. Again, just phenomenal team. And Jace Osteen, who's our audiovisual technician. Thank you so much. This gentleman always has a smile on his face no matter what. And then I also want to extend a special thank you to our police department for being here. Thank you so much. And also our fire department, who's in the back. And afterwards, they are here to answer any additional questions. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and I see a hand already back here.
First off, I want to thank you all for showing up here at the Colony and giving us a wonderful overview of what our city is doing for its residents. But to drill it down to something that's important to us, Bob, as you know, recently we lost a Colony resident to a fatality due to a traffic accident. I would like to know, and I think a lot of us would like to know, what is now being done to try to mitigate the danger that exists at our Cal Oaks gate? And also possibly put in a traffic light at the Nutmeg gate to avoid any potential problems with the traffic there.
Thank you for that question. I believe right after the accident, which is very unfortunate, obviously, the city met with members of the colony. We immediately went out and removed a tree on that corner. We actually put up a traffic signal ahead sign as you're coming westbound and southbound on Cal Oaks Road to make people more aware of that. We did look at ways to improve that intersection. Signalization, when you're dealing with the California and the federal government, all the traffic signals typically have to be identical. So when you're driving through Temecula, you're driving through Wildomar, you're driving through Murrieta, you're used to what's out there. You see the same exact traffic signals at every intersection. So there's not a real ability to increase a different timing and different things. So we're continuing to monitor that, and we will continue to monitor that. I know we had additional police enforcement in that area right after that accident. It's unfortunate, but we will continue to look at that. In terms of the back gate, we did get a request from a resident here to take a look at that for the possible installation of a traffic signal. We get that request about every 2 years. We do traffic counts on Nutmeg and also on the back gate. Unfortunately, that doesn't meet the warrants in order to install a traffic signal. We just completed that when school got back in session this year, and those numbers, unfortunately, there's not enough traffic coming in or out of that gate on the back off Nutmeg to actually warrant a traffic signal there. So we will continue to look at that. Every other year probably it comes back to a request from a resident. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time every year. First of all, I assumed that you all had garage door openers to change the lights. You were driving out, but
Only
just one guy.
the fire department actually does that.
First, I have a quick cost saving for you. You can quit building bike lanes because the e-bikers won't use them. So, talking about sales tax, I understand that it's in the city's best interest if we spend as much money as possible in the city. Our HOA management hopefully looks at it the same way and spends our HOA money in the city. Roughly what percentage of $100 in sales tax comes back to the city?
2 cents. Of $100.
Okay.
If you spend $100 and you pay $2 in tax, we get 20 cents. We get 2%. Yeah, so that's what Measure T was. It was 1% of the 8.75%, and now it's 2%. So out of $1, 2 cents comes to the city. So we got to spend a lot more than $1, guys. We got a lot of shopping to do.
Any other questions?
I love you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Lori Stone, Commissioner. You came out and met with a group of us about 2 weeks ago, and you brought the rain just ended that day, and today you brought the rain here. So I'm not going to say you have something to do with the weather, but anyway, my question is, and I have a lot more questions than I have answers. I've lived here in the colony now for 13 years. Ex-basketball coach. I coached for 30 years. I substituted at every high school in Murrieta and in Temecula. For 4 years I did that. And then I started to do my research. And where it led me was why in where you're sitting right now, and I want to thank you all for giving us your time, your information, and for always doing your best. And that's what we know that you do. And we thank you for coming out and sharing with us. So my question is, where you're sitting right now, we have 5 5G towers that the people in this colony and in this community and in your District 4, Lori, that we're being affected by every single day. And my question is, why 5? And the closest one is right here, 40 feet away from our wall. And I didn't know about it until about 6 months ago. Living here 13 years, 6 months ago, a friend, I was at Barron's taking signatures for people to wake up and let's find out what's going on here in Murrieta. And he goes, well, you don't know about the one right over there? And I go, no, there's not one over there. And he goes, oh yeah, there's one over there. And so right out here, where our maintenance department keeps their tractors and their carts to keep the golf course going, and you go up to the wall, and right across the street is a tree that's not a tree. And 12 and a half years of living here at that time, I never saw it. I never knew it was there because it's camouflaged so well with a lot of other big, big trees, and nobody, hardly anybody in the colony even knows that it's there. Now that's the closest one. And then let's go to our park, our public park. That one's been there since the year 2000. I've had grandkids go to that school, Shabela. And in 2000, they put that cell tower up 30 feet away from Shabela. And then right over here on our fire department, number 2, we have a cell tower, and they changed the way it looked. 3 years ago, it had wings. It had 2-story of wings, and everybody knew by looking at it, it was a cell tower. And then they got a permit to change how it looked. And on that permit, and I have a copy of it, and it says, we're going to let you do this, and we're going to call it for concealment purposes. Concealment purposes. And now it looks like a Radio Shack little, they encapsulated it. And then you got Church of Christ, and they have a cell tower there. And then that makes 5. Within a quarter of a mile of where you guys are sitting right now, and the FCC even says cell towers are putting out 60 gigahertz, and 60 gigahertz frequency affects our oxygen intake. Now, we know that you guys want to have Murrieta to be one of the 5 safest cities in California, and that's on your website. That's your number 1 goal. But I'm just here speaking up, saying that I don't think Murrieta is a safe city at all. And my daughter's name's Christina, and she teaches at Mesa High School, and in 2 school years, that's 9 months, it's 18 months, 2 school years, 8 teachers, female teachers, my daughter was number 8, come down with cancer. 8 in one school. I just heard yesterday now that another staff member that was there working with the dance team, she's now come down with cancer. So I knew there had to be a cell tower, but I couldn't find it. Until one day I was driving by the Black Bear restaurant, and I just looked back there and I saw, oh, wait a minute, there it is. It's a cell tower, it's a tree, that's not a tree. And right across the street is where my daughter teaches PE every single day out there when the weather's willing. So my question is, how come we're not getting these things tested and the public get to know, are they putting out 60 gigahertz? And are these things affecting our oxygen level, our hemoglobin? And I know for a fact, in 12 years, my physical is waning, it's going away. I have trouble with my balance. I can't ride an e-bike, kept falling off of them. not writing, stopping and starting.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your question. There's another question here that was handed to me that I want to read to you. Our city manager, Justin Clifton, is going to give some comments along with David Chancharansu. So the question is, how often does Murrieta regulate the emissions of energy coming from the cell towers that are in our community, and are the results being made to the public? So, City Manager Justin Clifton.
Okay, thank you for the comments and the question. This is an issue that I've studied a couple of times due to similar concerns. The simple answer to really both of those questions is we have limited involvement. The federal government regulates and in fact preempts most of the regulations that local communities might implement when it comes to things like cell towers. So the FCC has, I can't remember the exact name, the Telecommunications Act, I believe 1995, and basically says cities cannot prohibit them. Specifically, they can't regulate in any regards in the name of RF or other health concerns stemming from the emission of frequencies. So our hands are a bit tied in that regard. They have broad latitude in part because we live in an information age where the entire economy and most people's recreational lives revolve around communications. And like a lot of other things that are part of our daily lives, they may very well come with risks, and the federal agencies are responsible for balancing the risks against the benefits that those that provides. So we try to stay focused on the local issues. It's the potholes in the roads and things like that, and to be honest, that's enough to keep up with, and we really have no choice but to lean on the federal government to do their job and the state government to do theirs, and we stay focused where we have direct regulatory control and can implement things quickly and effectively, and that's just not an issue where we can have almost any impact whatsoever.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's always a good question. I think residents have the right to expect what they want of their local community. Again, I haven't seen a case study yet where anybody has had any impact or effect on the federal government's regulations with regard to cell towers. Not any of them. Some have decided to write letters, and that's good, but we do our best to direct our efforts to areas where we can have an impact for our local residents, and that one appears to not be one where anybody is having much impact. I would encourage any residents to reach out to their federal representatives and other federal agencies to promote those. And again, place any demands that you wish on your local government. That's certainly everyone's right, but I hope it's understood that what we're really trying to do is have excellent police, excellent fire, economic development, and other local services. That is a very big macro issue that can only be solved by the macro government, and that's our federal government.
Thank you. David.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've been, since the 1990s, I've been involved in wireless facility permitting. So in addition to what Justin said, I think we have maybe 4 or 5 major carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and you've got the cable companies that are providing the cell service now as well. So the FCC and Congress has basically said cities cannot prohibit a coverage issue. So if a carrier believes that it's filling a gap in coverage, like we ask the carrier to show us the evidence that you have a gap in coverage in your system, and that basically checks the box where we can't prohibit a carrier from adding cellular coverage. And the one thing that we do also look at, because we are a permitting agency at the local level, we try to follow what Congress and other agencies are doing, and staying involved at the federal level with your local representative in Congress is probably the best way to do that. We know the FCC is looking at changing regulations again. They do that, from time to time, about every 5 years or so, and so the FCC currently has out requests for public comments on 2 issues, and the federal government wants to further deploy 5G within the country, and it occupies that space almost exclusively. And so focus, like Justin had said, focusing on the local issues, that's what we can do. But the citizens have to get involved at the federal level.
Thank you, David. I know that you and I have spoken, and I've been doing my due diligence to respond to you. And the only other person that I need clarification from is our city attorney, but otherwise you have heard the answers from our team. In addition to that, I'm more than happy to give you Daryl Ice's contact information, and you can contact his office as well.
$300,000 grant for the pickleball court, and you identified Alderwood. When do you expect to break ground on that?
So the person that can answer that is the Director of Municipal Services, Brian Crawford. He's not here. His number is, contact information is on the website. With that said, we've done all the studies. We have 3 new courts that are going to go up into Alderwood. We were going to use something called job order purchasing. That came in too high. So we're releasing it out to a bid. We hope we can probably get that to City Council December, maybe January. That would be the time frame that I'm looking at. But we are going to construct 3 new pickleball courts up there at Alderwood.
Any other questions? See a young lady in the back.
Hi, I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but it's regarding these electric bikes. You know, you were talking about them earlier. Are they legal on the sidewalks or not? Can they ride them on the sidewalks, in the shopping centers and on the streets?
Yes, anywhere that you can ride a bicycle.
You can ride a bicycle on the sidewalks?
Legally, yes.
In the shopping centers and places like that?
That's going to be private property, so the vehicle codes aren't going to cover shopping centers. So yes, right now, yes, unless there's signs posted and they fit within our designated ordinance. But right now, that's like county, I'm sorry, not county parks, but city parks and special events.
Chief, do you mind expanding on that conversation a little bit and talk about the drone effort and what the drone effort has done with following and what the team has done to help mitigate the illegal driving of e-bikes, please?
Absolutely. Like I say, it's a tough issue for the police department simply because of who we would be enforcing it on. The majority of the riders, not all, but a majority, are probably between 13 and 17 years old. They're kids, they're juveniles, coming to and from the schools and doing what they're doing on the weekends. We've seen, and we're not the only city by far, that when we attempt to stop and try to do any sort of enforcement or education, oftentimes we're met with these kids taking off on the e-bikes. Our officers can't chase or pursue juveniles for illegally riding an e-bike. We can't risk that. We can't risk the injury that could come from that. So oftentimes, and when they first started, we were kind of handcuffed on what we could do. So we had to get innovative and try to find new ways of enforcing these e-bikes because, yes, they are a problem and they are a priority for us. So with the drones and the technology, what we've done is we started using the drones to follow these kids as they take off from our officers. So we'll try to make initial contact. Some will stop, but a good chunk will not. So what we're doing now is we're conducting operations to where we're utilizing our drones that will now follow the juveniles away on their bikes. We're seeing them as they go into the ravines and the creek beds and stuff like that, getting away. Or into businesses to where our cars can't just jump curbs and go follow. And we're waiting for them to land either at a restaurant and more times than not at their house. At that point, we're then making contact with them and their parents and issuing citations and doing impounds as necessary. So we're doing what we can do, and we're trying to think outside the box, and somehow drones have kind of fallen right into that box for enforcing on e-bikes, and more to come on that. 100%, and that's why it is a priority for us.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? Right back here.
This is for the Department of Fun. The new dog park at the corner here is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love the dog park too. Deanne loves the dog park. Any other questions from the floor? Yes, ma'am.
When do you think the Kaiser will be coming in? It looked like a 7-story hospital.
You want me to, I can start
Okay,
that
there we go.
conversation.
We anticipated opening within 10 years, or they anticipated opening within 10 years. So they're finishing 2 other medical office buildings that are in line before us, and then they're going to start the project here. But they've spoken to our team and said that they're planning within the next decade. It takes a while to build a hospital in the state of California. There's a lot of rules that go into it. So, yeah.
I think it's about $6 million a bed, I believe, is the cost.
I think it's
of
I think it's about $1
expanding.
million a room in a hospital. So
No.
setting.
John Linville just told me $6 million.
He's-
Per room, per bed. I'm sorry, per bed.
Inflation.
And also, I want to talk about Keller Road. Keller Road, as you know, that there is not an off-ramp to access our hospitals. And that was one of the issues that we addressed in Sacramento, that this is a public safety issue. Keller Road has been in the environmental process, approximately 12 years, 12 to 14 years? And finally, because of our advocacy up in Sacramento and partnering with Senator Kelly C. Arto, it's finally out of the environmental process, and now we have to raise, approximately 40 million? Approximately 40 million at this point. So that's where we're at with Keller Road. And once that is built, you'll definitely start to see our hospitals expand. Will they be expanding prior to Keller Road or after Keller Road?
Yeah, I think they'd like to see Keller Road in. I think Loma Linda is not tied to Keller Road, so Loma Linda plans to add another entire hospital tower, and I don't think that they're tied to it. They've told us that they think they're going to come in before Kaiser, so you'll likely see a Loma Linda expansion before a Kaiser expansion.
Any other questions from the floor?
In Wildemar, it's a 7-story tower. I'm imagining it's 150. I don't know the exact count. But that's a huge expansion that they're doing in Wildemar for UHS hospitals.
Hi, Chief, have you increased your staffing? I've been here 20 years, and it was just a small community when I moved here, but wow, what's happened in the last few years? Have you increased already, or are you planning on increasing your staff? I don't see police cars very much.
Yes and yes. We have definitely increased. We're at 114 sworn officers right now. 20 years ago, I was the 70th officer to be hired by the department, so we had about 50 officers. So we've more than doubled in that time, and the plan is absolutely, as population grows and we're allowed, we do have growth in, projected.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a 10-member traffic team, so almost 10% of my department is devoted just to traffic enforcement.
I want to touch upon that. As we talked about the unfunded mandates imposed on the cities from the state of California, there's a question here. In 2024, it's estimated that 500,000 apartments are completed, and another 500,000 apartments are estimated to be completed in 2025. We have what's called RENA numbers, and those are the numbers that the state of California expects the city of Murrieta and all the other cities and counties across the state of California. Our former mayor and former council member, Randon Lane, who was attending, I can't remember, I think it was SCAG, they wanted to impose 10,000 units on the city of Murrieta for high-density apartments, and at that time, Councilmember Randon Lane fought to lower those numbers, and the state lowered them to 4,000 units. Every decade, the state is going to impose more numbers on the backs of the cities and the counties across the state of California. and I think it's 2029, is that correct? They're going to impose another round of mandates on the city of Murrieta, and again, all the cities and counties across the state of California. But I promise you, not only myself, but our entire council, the staff here, our city manager, we're doing everything we can to fight the state of California, and just know that, please. So with regards to the unfunded mandates, when you asked our chief about the increase of law enforcement, this is not just about men and women on the ground. This is support staff and also for our fire department. With the current mandates, we expect an extra 30,000 people that will be living in Murrieta over the next decade due to the unfunded mandates. Now, when we're allocated the next round, we have no idea how many more people. Sooner or later, we're not going to be able to move in this city. But there is one other thing that I do want to share with you. It's not just the city of Murrieta that's dealing with this. We are dealing with this as a region. And if you're upset now, wait for about another 15 years when French Valley, from Murrieta Hot Springs all the way to Dalmanagoni Parkway, they estimate 75,000 rooftops, which will bring 206,000 people to French Valley, and all 5 cities want a seat at the table. We need infrastructure before those homes are built. And again, we're fighting for infrastructure at the state just to mitigate what is imposed on the backs of the city of Murrieta. So the next question is the government subsidizing in any way, shape, or form the B building contractors, Murrieta, or those who will be living in these apartments? Anybody can answer that question? Is somebody here that proposed this question? Okay, seeing none. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is our greatest pleasure to be here today. I hope that you will walk away being informed and being excited about what our team is doing. They are definitely thinking outside the box, but we do have some challenges. And I actually have a call to action for you. I'm a little concerned about the state funding. They have taken away a large amount of funding for homeless and mental health issues. And as you know, the county is our health department, and they're the ones that provide the funding for homelessness and mental behavior health. There's only a certain amount of money that's going to be allocated to all the regions in Riverside County. And while we have a successful program, I would hate for us to have to make some very strong changes based on the financials, the financial income that could impact the success that Brian and his entire team and the 4 other cities that are the 4 cities that are participating in this. So the call to action is if you would contact your county supervisor, Chuck Washington, let him know how successful our program is. Let him know that we need money in order to continue the success of what Brian and his team is doing with regards to mental health and homelessness. I would really appreciate that. One last thing, as I told you that I went off script, and I apologize to the team who worked diligently to put together a beautiful pictures of all that we've been doing. But if you can you run the video at least? Is that possible?
I have one last question.
Yes.
Yeah, in case of an emergency, God forbid, fire or earthquake, what resources would the colony have from the city to help us in an evacuation?
Chief?
hear me? There we go. All right. So we have we talked about a couple of things that had to do with emergency management. One of those was the updated safety element in the city's plan that has that whole evacuation plan that's built into that. I've been here, and every time that I've talked about evacuation for the entire city of Murrieta, not just the colony. We have something called Genesis that is a county-wide resource because we like to do all of our emergency management regionally. That is an app that will tell you if you are under evacuation. It's somewhere that you can go to get notifications of areas that are being evacuated due to emergencies, and those emergencies can be anything. Obviously, wildfire is a tremendous threat, but earthquakes, floods, any other civil unrest even we could use it for. So the signups for those are back on the fire table. We have some brochures out there. There's signups for Alert Rivco, which gets you your reverse 911, so we can call you to evacuate. And then there's also the Genesis and another app, Watch Duty, that you can track how evacuations are happening in the city. When those evacuations would come in, it would be shared what to do. So it would tell you where to evacuate to and which direction to evacuate away from the fire or flood or disaster that you have. As far as resources, Rachel Hollinger, our disaster preparedness coordinator, who's also presented here several times, we understand that communities like yours, sometimes we have people that do not have the ability to leave under their own power. So part of what we do with emergency management citywide is we have those areas identified and we offer services as these disasters develop of like busing services or evacuations through ambulances. So we do have that built into our plan. Those plans, however, are designed as the disaster happens because we don't have the exact same plan for every single disaster, but it is built into the way we operate evacuations in the city.
Great, thank you. Can we do the video? Okay, great.
Southwest Riverside County stands as one of California's fastest growing regions and a premier destination for families, students, and businesses. With some of the lowest crime rates and comparatively affordable housing in the state, it continues to attract those seeking a vibrant and secure community. While we take great pride in our achievements in meeting state housing goals, our environmental stewardship, and fostering strong neighborhoods, the rapid growth has outpaced our infrastructure, creating an urgent need for investment and expansion. Rapid growth since the early 2000s has led to worsening gridlock on the I-15 and I-215 freeways, disrupting commerce, national defense logistics, and regional connectivity. Meanwhile, well-intended state policies, such as vehicle miles traveled, have inadvertently increased project costs and slowed critical improvements. Additionally, innovative clean transit regulations place undue strain on our developing public transportation systems, which lack the infrastructure and historic investments of larger metropolitan areas. As California evolves to meet the challenges of affordability, mobility, and climate resilience, Southwest Riverside County stands at the forefront, embodying the promise of a more connected, accessible, and prosperous future for all. By aligning state policies with clean transportation initiatives, infrastructure improvements, and environmental resilience goals, together we can help create a more vibrant California, where affordability goes hand in hand with reduced emissions, enhanced mobility, and long-term climate responsibility.
So now the fun part of the event today is the raffle prizes. So we have some tickets. We have 6 Yeti coffee mugs, 4 cooler chairs, and oh, does everybody have a raffle ticket real fast? Seeing none. Okay, seeing a few. Do you want to? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Left of my term. I am here for you. You can reach me at the city at